In this video, we will focus on pragmatism. Here's a link to a video that's worth watching. I will post this for you under more resources. So what exactly is pragmatism? Pragma as a word means to do, to work. So the emphasis is on the natural explanation and the effects through a method of inquiry that involves a hypothesis testing. Children learn best when they interact with their environments and they are actively involved with the school curriculum. Children should be given learning opportunities that will enable them to link their present content to previous experiences and knowledge. This is the more general used philosophy within the classroom today. So what are some of the underpinnings of pragmatism? They say that things change, nothing is permanent. And I think with COVID that's recently gone, we can all understand that nothing that we thought was permanent was. It seeks to explain natural phenomena. Instead of just saying it is like it is, we try to understand why it is that way. Things change because of the experiences that you have. They believe that truth is relative because they believe that the world is changing and evolving. Pragmatism lines up quite well with realism, but there are fundamental differences. If we look at the metaphysical branch, we can see that for pragmatism, the meaning is derived from experience in the environment. Truth is relative. It depends on the situation as well as the experience. When we look at the epistemological aspect thereof, we see that knowledge comes through making practical experiences. It is subjective and it depends on consequences. There's no such thing as absolute truth. So how does this relate to the meaning and the aims of education? They compare education to be growth. So the growth that leads to other growth. As you as a teacher grow, your children grow. So the aim of education is ultimately more education. Here are some of the goals that we can see the pragmatists would go for. There's growth. The school meets the need of the society as well as the students. Education is part of our lives. It is a natural development. Education helps learners to succeed through guiding and facilitating, not telling them what they need to believe. The role of the learners is quite extensive, that they study on their own, they make sense of what they want to make sense of, and their perception is theirs. The role of the teacher, you are a facilitator, you are not authoritative. We make use of democratic methods where the children are involved in the decisions that we take. We maintain social order and growth. The teacher encourages, offers suggestions, questions, and helps to plan and implement study material. So therefore, the function of education is preparation for life. What are the methods of instruction we use if we are pragmatic? We try to focus on problem solving, experiential learning, inquiry methods, field trips, projects, because not all learners learn the same way. Rote memorization, in other words, learning things off by heart, is being replaced with individualized studies. It tends to be action-oriented, where it's hands-on experience. Our curriculum would be learner-centered. It is composed of experience and content. The disciplines are integrated. Projects are there so that you can find for yourself the problem and solve it. The child's interest is considered varied interests, and the needs are taken into account through experience. One of the major proponents of pragmatism is Dewey. He has two central theories that deal with knowledge. The first one is use material from prior experience to guide inquiry. In other words, if you're going to teach children new information, you need to link it with something that they've experienced or learned before. Genuine problem solving involves undergoing the consequences of your own hypothesis or your test making. The teacher that uses Dewey's system will do the following. They are more concerned with the growth by allowing students to test and try out their own procedures rather than to correct them. The people that are against it say that to allow students to use faulty rules may lead them to practicing their errors, which is then difficult to correct in future. According to Dewey, knowledge is bigger than truth. Knowledge is the body of information and the skills that we apply to inquiry. Preferred knowledge, knowing to take certain points and to process it into a way of thinking. This is very much a system that thrives in a democracy. We are humans and we are social beings. Children should be encouraged to communicate, to inquire, and to construct. That is why our CAPS document has group work as one of the outcomes or teaching strategies. You have to do group work. You can read the rest on the screen for yourself. So, democracy is a mode of associated living. Rules were to be tried and tested. They must be under constant scrutiny. We must revise our rules. We mustn't have one rule that's still the same for the last 100 years. So according to Dewey, democratic characteristics would be open to shared interest and ideas and to have free points of contact. Free communication across class line, religion, race, and region. So very much a multicultural approach. Where does subject matter fit in pragmatism? We teach the subjects in a way that makes the subject matter, that makes it, why am I studying what am I studying? How can I use this in my life? It's generally taught through the presentation of a problem. So problem-based learning would be a typical pragmatic approach to teaching. Students must puzzle over human events and come up with their own suggestion. So Dewey's curriculum is based on actual experiences, interests, and the impulses of the child. So if we can get a summary of it, we can see what the goals of education is, the nature, the role of the teacher, the role of the student, the typical teaching method, as well as the subjects that's being taught. So, who agrees and who disagrees with Dewey? So the agreement is that students are active pursuers of their own purposes. There's a quest for certainty, student participation in a democratic form. With other words, they have the right to choose. The development is clear and more responsible sense of living. The people that disagree with this say this is too ambitious. We cannot really do this in a classroom. There's no attention to race, class, and gender. Although we want to be inclusive, we have to acknowledge our differences as well. And that brings us to the end of pragmatism.